Welcome back to Mornings with Ridge and Frost. A big day here in Westminster as we build up to the Chancellor's all-important budget at lunchtime. As we do continue that build-up, it's time to talk to a man who knows something about delivering a budget or two, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, Lord Hammond. Lord Hammond, a very good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us. The first big picture question I have is, given where we are, that I don't think anyone really wants to borrow more, that the Chancellor has some restive MPs that don't want to see significant spending cuts. Do you accept that taxes need to go up today?
Well, the Chancellor can't borrow more, not just because of her fiscal rules, but because of the market's willingness to lend. So she's constrained on borrowing, which means there are three other options: get the economy growing faster, raise taxes, or cut spending. Now, everybody's been trying to get the economy growing faster, and obviously that's the preferred route out of this, but perhaps we'll come back to that in a minute. The danger is that the tax increases she announces today undermine the drive for economic growth. So if she can't cut spending, she's going to have to raise taxes. But in terms of a sustainable long-term way forward for this country, that is not a solution because it undermines growth. So she has got to show today that she has the willingness, the political strength to impose spending cuts. And I don't mean bogus spending cuts in the last year of the forecast, undefined, but real spending cuts that will start to impact on public services and people's experience. Because if we're not prepared to cut spending, we will not deliver the growth agenda, which the government rightly says has to be the number one mission.
If that's not in it today, what does the market react?
Well, I think the market will see straight through it. If there is no willingness to address the fundamental underlying problem of public spending, the market will see that the fiscal position is not sustainable. And I say that because the public spending problem isn't going to go away. Population is getting older, demand for services is increasing. If we have a big challenge with public spending today, in 5 or 10 years' time, it's going to be much worse. And we have to start thinking about a sustainable way forward, to rethink the way we deliver public services, to rethink the boundary between what people pay for privately, what they expect to get from the state, what they pay for through tax, what they pay for through some other form of subscriptions or contributions.
One of the big sort of trade-offs to the Chancellors we've already touched on is what the public would accept, but what her own MPs would accept. Would an explicit manifesto breach be legitimate grounds for her MPs to force her out, or the public even to force her out? Or would you, if in all those constraints in mind, would you go ahead and put up income tax?
Look, it is important that politicians, when they make pledges, stick to them. But I do think the mood in the country is that the world has changed around us and things have to happen that may be very difficult. And I think the problem is less the public than the Parliamentary Labour Party, where a very large number of MPs who didn't actually expect to get elected in 2024 at all are now looking at a world in which they're probably going to lose their seats in 2029 and are clearly not very happy about it. And they will be particularly sensitive to breaching of manifesto commitments.
Do you expect an income tax hike or a big lever or not?
Well, it looks like she's shied away from that. I don't know how she's going to do this and make it add up without a big tax move like VAT or income tax. But she seems to have clearly signalled that that isn't the way she's going to go.
Clearly there are some spending increases too, whether it's two-child benefit cap or the national living wage increase. Specifically on the latter, is that sensible at the time, given the pressure on business? But also, I guess, is it sensible with the workers' rights bill coming through, with the economy not that strong, is it sensible for workers?
No, it isn't. Not sensible at all. And it completely contradicts her narrative of going for growth. You know, on the one hand, they've got a perfectly sensible idea that you focus on economic growth, and over time, that economic growth delivers for everybody. It delivers a more prosperous society. But then they immediately undermine it with things like the national insurance increase in the last budget, these continuous increases in minimum wages, which frankly, large parts of industry simply can't afford. Hospitality industry as a case in point. You know, many people in the hospitality industry earn significant amounts of money from tips, service charges, the tronc, but they can't access that unless they've got a job at minimum wage. And more people in the hospitality industry are telling us that they are literally teetering on the brink, that they will not be able to stand another assault. And the government itself, of course, is a huge employer of people on relatively low wages who will be affected through differentials, compression and so on by changes to the national minimum wage.
Is putting some kind of new property tax on properties above a certain value, it sounds like it'll be £2 million, sensible?
Well, I think it's something that's probably almost certainly going to happen. It will have an impact on the property market. But given where the Chancellor is, I would have to say that is one of the least bad options that she's probably going to be looking at today.
I wanted to talk more broadly about the mood in the country and the politics all around us. Your nickname when you were Chancellor, I think you're obviously well aware of, was often Spreadsheet Phil. I don't know if you thought that was derogatory or even whether you quite liked it.
I think it was meant to be derogatory, but I rather liked it.
So this is what I was going to get to. I guess if it wasn't, therefore, that tough to take. But do you think when you see people say Rachel from accounts, that is grossly unfair? Or is it comparable to Spreadsheet Phil? What's your view on all of that?
Well, I think it is. It's derogatory, and I don't like the use of derogatory phrasing in political debate. Rachel Reeves is perfectly capable of preparing and delivering a budget. There's no doubt about that. She's in a very difficult place. I think, to be honest, she and Keir Starmer understand the problems. They articulated them well in the run-up to the general election. They just haven't delivered on what they said they would deliver. They have not focused primarily on growth. They've done a number of measures, and it looks like they'll do more today, which are actually undermining the growth agenda. GDP per capita, which is the best measure of how well off people feel, has flatlined in this country since the pandemic. And getting economic growth moving again is the key to getting people feeling better about the economy, about themselves, about our political system. And frankly, what I see when I look out there now is a political system which is moving to extremes, populism, extremist positions, and that is a reflection of people feeling that the economy is no longer working for them, that they're no longer getting better off year after year.
So to wrap things up, Lord Hammond, you said maybe we'll come back to it at the start. What is the solution? I mean, is it some of the ideas that Liz Truss tried to put forward, but perhaps rushed too quickly on? Or what's the magic solution to deliver growth?
Well, Liz Truss didn't get it right, but there are clearly things that need to be done to drive growth in the economy, and they will be painful because essentially we will drive growth in this economy by sacrificing some consumption in order to increase investment. We have just about the lowest investment performance of any G20 economy. That's what's dragging Britain backwards. And we need to get our investment up to the levels of our peers. And we can only do that by reducing a little bit the amount we consume today in order that we can consume more tomorrow.
Lord Hammond, it's always a pleasure. Thanks so much for stopping by.